Welcome back, everybody. It's week 3 of the Midwest Esports Conference. I'm Audio, and joining me is my co-star, half Asian dad. We're taking a look at Purdue versus Illinois College tonight. Again, week 3 of the CLOL. And this is going to be a really fun matchup to watch because we've all seen the top of the table, but there's a lot of teams at the kind of the second, the third place level here in the MEC that are really competitive. And Illinois College and Purdue are two of those teams that look really good right now. So this is going to be a fun match to kind of see where they fall on that ladder.
For sure. We're going to see if Purdue can go to 3-0 and tie up with Grandview for the time being. And we can see if Illinois College can maybe get a little bit of an upset victory over them, get themselves to 2-1 and get themselves in that mix right now. It's kind of a mess right below Grandview over them, get themselves to 2-1 and get themselves in that mix right now. It's kind of a mess right below Grandview right now, but we're going to see who comes out on top at the end of all of it. And this matchup is going to be a good indicator to see where both of these teams are at.
Yeah, Illinois College, we'll talk about them first. Prankuru in the top lane, still as dominant as ever. He has been the core of this team for quite a while now, even last season. But they made an upgrade in their bottom lane in bringing in King Meat and Cold Cottage Koala. These guys have looked really impressive down there in the bottom lane. We got to see them in a skirmishes yesterday, but they're going to be going up against Udon, Budan, and Ladens, who in their own right are really scary. I mean, any player that's able to get the amount of copy pasta in Twitch chat that Udon Badan does is obviously a fan favorite and much worthy of his praise. So I'm interested to see if Illinois College are going to continue playing around Prankuru in that split push style that they are known for, or if they're going to throw a couple of extra bones towards King Me and Koala down there in the bot lane, and maybe we'll see Illinois College give us a new look. IC 2.0.
Yeah, I think that we need to see how these teams can play diversely, I guess I can say. You don't want to always play to one style because otherwise people can find counters to that. You can just play around the split push a little bit better. You can really look for those hard team fight comps that forces the split pusher to join. So a bunch of different angles you can see out of both of these teams, but of course really want to play around Prankura because he's kind of their big carry for them. You want to see if they can potentially give some resources down to King Me and Koala, and ideally they get to play around both of those players. You can play the 1-4 style, and if you wanted to, you can have them teleport into a fight and really get those team fight victories. So should be interesting to see what these two teams bring, especially Illinois College, in terms of if they can bring that diverse strategy to the table.
You're the superstar of the IC roster, but there's there's no lack of superstars on the other side of the table either. Toponer and Udon Badan have both shown to be very flashy and very highlight worthy players. Thinking back to their game that they took off of Grandview University, Toponer on that Silas had some of the craziest outplays that I have seen so far here in the MEC. I am firmly convinced that they need to ban Silas away from them just because of that game. Udon Badan has also frequently been on my lists as quadra kills and penta kills galore. He has been cleaning up these team fights on picks like the Kaisa. So these are two players that I think Illinois College are really going to have a game plan to shut down. The draft needs to be very meticulous surrounding the mid and bottom lanes because this is kind of where I think the game is going to be won or lost. If they can get Prankuru that really nice counter matchup, I think that's great and they should, but I don't think that you should be throwing away the matchups in these lanes for that top lane because these players are just that good.
And in some ways, top lane can be somewhat of an island sometimes. You can get all those solo kills, and this is exactly what we saw in Game 2 of Mizu versus Jury, is that the top laner was so fed, but couldn't really translate that into the later stages of the game. So, you got to look at the rest of the map and try and pick a good cohesive comp. And that's what we're going to be looking for in this draft.
Yeah, it's all down to this game one between these two teams. Purdue Northwest is going to be on the blue side, Illinois College on the red, and Camille will be the first band coming through. I agree with this one. Broken top laner, and especially in the hands of someone like Prankuru, that is one of those matchups that you do throw away the draft for.
Yeah, you can just kind of take the Camille off the table, say, hey, I don't want to get half my health bar taken out with the second hit of Precision Protocol. I want to stay alive, and that's honestly a really good ban because Camille has been at the top of the meta for the last little bit. And of course, with the Udyr and the Galio banned away, taking away some of those team fight options as well, with the Hecarim as well.
Yeah, and I like the Galio following the Camille, not only targeting the top lane, but also targeting the support that can come through for the top lane. Some of those globals. TF is another big one that Illinois College have been partial to. The Hecarim, a good ban away from No You Stink. He has been putting up great numbers on that in the last couple of weeks. And it's going to be another jungle ban, the third one, Graves, as Purdue Northwest's finals, as I see take that Kaisa off the board.
Kaisa, another really good ban, one of those champions that's always omnipresent in the meta, can really work with a lot of different champions. You can play the split push style with the Kaisa because she has pretty good wave clear. You can play an all-in comp with her as well. And Gragas is going to be the first pickup here, going to be going into Solendric's hands. And Gragas, very strong on the top lane right now and could still be flexed around to the jungle and to the support.
I like to see this. The Seraphine left up and it's instantly locked in. I think this pick is so underutilized right now in the MEC. We see so many teams just not even banning it or banning it away on blue side, not willing to play it, but it is so strong. This champion has so much packed into her kit and she can fit into so many different compositions. Illinois College will immediately grab that. It will be paired alongside the Senna, but that's going to mean that the Yasuo is up for Purdue Northwest to pair alongside that Gragas.
And it's combo as old as time. Gragas has 2 knockups in his kit. Yasuo loves to have those knockups to follow up on. So we're going to see how all of this turns out. And the Tristana being locked in as well. It looks like Purdue's going for a full all-in comp already.
Yeah, this is very comfortable for Purdue. They've gone back to this draft many times, even in the skirmishes that we saw from them yesterday. And it is very heavy on the physical damage side, but it allows such instant engage with the Tristana and the Gragas being able to jump on you from so far away. And then as soon as that knockup comes through, Yasuo is able to just blink on top of you. Will it be enough, though, to punch through this double support lineup? Because if Illinois College even drafts a little bit of frontline, you've got that Gnar who, is a pseudo frontline when he is mega, but if they can get another bruiser in front of those supports, you're going to need a lot of damage to actually take down those members.
And I think that Gnar, in the hands of Prankura specifically, can try and bully out that Gragas matchup if that's what they elect to go. That Gragas does go up to that top lane because Gnar has a little bit more of that range and has a lot of ways to cancel out Gragas' engage with the body. So, can just wallop him down or Gnar him into a wall. So a lot of ways for Gnar to play around the Gragas, and also a good way to disengage from the Yasuo and Tristana all-ins as well.
Yep, as you see the less bans coming through, the Vayne as well as the Malphite, banning away those top lane counters for the Gnar. So already putting draft resources into making sure that Prankuru is set up and comfortable in this lane. I'm really curious as to what the jungler is going to be. I'm expecting something aggressive, and I think Purdue do as well, because they're banning away things like the Olaf, the Lilia that can clear quickly. The Gnar doesn't offer a lot of gank assist himself, but the Skarner definitely does. This is the perfect pick for IC right now. They've sacked the bottom lane in draft, said, whatever, we're just going to take the CS loss and we have double supports. And they're stacking a lot of utility into this top lane, going to cover for this Gnar, who is very squishy in his mini form. But if you've just got a Skarner sitting behind you the entire game, it doesn't matter how squishy you are. You have free reign to bully out whoever's unfortunate enough to be under that tower.
Yeah, and looks like I was a little bit misguided with thinking that Gragas was top lane. Looks like it's going into the jungle, but the Ornn, another knockup available. And in some ways they're saying, yeah, we're going to lose top lane right now. We're just going to pick something that scales. And Ornn, with all of those Ornn items, is going to give a lot of scaling to his team. Gives us about 1,000 gold worth of stats there. So the gold leads are going to start to be a little bit misguided as we get later on into the game.
0% on this HRV. And this one. 0% on this pilot. And that pilot. 0% on this CRV. That one too. 0% on the passport. And 0% on the ridgeline. Act fast to take home a versatile and rugged Honda during the final days of the Honda 0% event. Well-qualified buyers can get a great deal, like 0% APR financing on the purchase of select Honda models.
Guitar Center's President's Day sale. Save up to 40% on select drums, keys, guitars, DJ, and recording. Bring home the hottest gear with your 15% off coupon. Or use your Guitar Center gear card to get 0% financing for 48 months. Shop the best selection of new and exclusive gear, plus deals on the greatest brands with safe pickup options in-store or curbside. Find your sound at Guitar Center.
If IC has a lead, it might not be as big just because of those Ornn items coming through. And ooh, I really like this. The Pike gonna come through in the fourth position. Gonna be very aggressive with that pick.
So let's break this down for me, because I was assuming that this Gragas and Yasuo would be dueling in the bot lane. We were going to see the Tristana mid. How is this working out?
I'm still confused about how everything goes down, honestly. Like, Ornn technically, like, with the Pike coming through, it's like, okay, yeah, it kind of defines that it's Tristana Pike bot lane. That's a super aggressive combo as well. And Gragas Yasuo, the Gragas just keeps ganking mid after 6. And this Seraphine's going mid, actually. Wow. So Seraphine going to have a lot of trouble dealing with the Yasuo later on into the game, as it does look like it's going to be Senna Braum in the bot lane from what we can get from draft. And that's an interesting combo as well. Get that passive with the Braum passive off. You get all those slows with Senna as well. So it should be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, I don't really buy the Seraphine in the mid lane. She does have an incredible amount of wave clear even early on without much items with her Q if you can get the double proc. But it is definitely Prankuru or bust here for this team. Having a support both in mid and in bot lane as your main carries means that you are not going to have much damage early on into the game as they build into things like the Moonstone Renewer. Senna is probably going to be going towards that Kraken Slayer, but that does take a little bit to come online. So really, IC can only play through that top side if they want to be proactive and actually get themselves a lead in this game, which they kind of want to do, because you're looking at a Tristana and a Yasuo that once they get some items are going to be dishing out so much damage.
Yeah, another thing to consider actually is the fact, like as we were talking about with the gold advantage that Ornn gives, in some ways Skarner nullifies that. You have to buy a QSS on most of your carries. So Tristana's going to have to get one. Yasuo is going to have to get one. Even Pike might consider one. So that's 4,000 gold already going to a bunch of sashes on their team. And that kind of evens out the gold that needs to be considered in terms of this later game. So we're going to have to keep an eye on the Ornn items when they come through, and as well onto that Skarner to see who he's pulling and to make sure that he's not pulling someone who already has a QSS, because then the Impale is completely useless.
All right, we do have a little bit more information about the draft as they're locking him in client. Toponer is going to be piloting that Tristana in the mid lane. No You Stink will be on Gragas for the jungle, so it's going to be the Yasuo Pike combo down on the bot lane.
Okay, so Yasuo Pike is fun because they're both melee, and Pike's pull actually has a slight knockup right at the beginning of it, as it is the displace, as Blitzcrank hooks work and that. So going to be interesting to see how that all works out, but it's a really good all-in lane, and it looks like they're just trying to kill everyone on the map at level 6. So should be interesting to see how this all plays out, but the Braum going to be really good to disengage those engages from the Yasuo and the Pike.
Yeah, definitely will. Gragas, though, once he does hit that level 6, is going to be a game changer down there in the bot lane. The ability to just walk in, throw out that cask, and then you immediately have Udon, Badan, and Ladens just teleport right on top of you. Can be even much for the Braum to handle. It'll be interesting to see how King Me and Cold Cottage Koala navigate that lane, because I don't assume that they're going to be getting a lot of support from Timmy Tab. Again, I want to hammer this home. IC love to play through Prankuru, and this Skarner is most likely going to be setting up a tent in that top lane. Ornn, though, one of those champions that can be very annoying to try to dive. He has a lot of base stats and a lot of skirmishing potential.
Especially if Tristana can get the push advantage, which she should, into the Seraphine. You're going to have this Tristana and Gregus going all over the map. So they could even look towards top and put Prankuru behind. And once the Gnar gets behind, it's really hard for him to get back into the game. Hard to get tanky enough and hard not to do enough damage to really have an impact in that side lane. And I think that's what Purdue has to look for. They have to look towards shutting down Prankuru in the early game and getting their bot lane ahead.
All right, well, who's going to come out on top? Will Purdue remain undefeated and join Grandview at the top of the standings, or will Illinois College buy themselves a spot at the table? We'll have to see on the other side of this short break. We're getting ready for game number 1 between these two teams. We'll see you then. Welcome back, League fans. It's game 1 between Purdue and
Yes, Purdue and Illinois College.
Purdue Northwest. And we have a really weird comp. See, I'm still struggling with this comp from IC, right? Because I don't know if they're going to have enough in the early game with this Gnar in the top lane, because there's really no gank potential in mid or bot.
It's going to be interesting to see how they play the map from Illinois College, at least. The Skarner, really strong at 6, but before then has pretty niche ganks. You have to land that E on anyone to get the stun off, and really thrives in the jungle if you get some jungle skirmishes down. But Gragas has a little more agency, especially with the Predator in that early game. And I think it should be interesting to see if Illinois College can get some sort of lane advantages, because right now, from my eyes, it looks like they have 2 losing lanes and then Gnar up in the top lane. So should be interesting to see.
Now that Gnar might look small, but remember that he can transform to be pretty big. I do expect TimTam to be spending a lot of resources up here, and I am hoping and would not be shocked to see a bit of an unusual build coming out from Prankuru. We might still see something like the Stridebreaker come through, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing the Blade of the Ring King.
At Firehouse Subs, a portion of every purchase helps provide life-saving equipment to first responders across the country. So at Firehouse Subs, we don't just make subs. We make subs that are big, bold, and craveable. We make our subs differently because our subs make a difference. Like our new Everything Hook and Ladder on an Everything Bagel Seasoned sub roll. This is everything. Firehouse Subs. Enjoy more subs. Save more lives.
The new Lexus IS. All in on the sports sedan. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
You've got the gaming chair, the gaming membership, the gaming headset. Now all you need is the gaming battery. Upgrade your Xbox controller with Duracell Optimum.
The Black Cleaver, a very aggressive DPS focused build, because he's going to have that Seraphine and that Senna backing him up in the mid game.
And I think that, especially into the Ornn, if you just look at the lane matchup where it's going to be Gnar versus Ornn in those side lanes for a good majority of this game, I think that you really need to see if Prankuru can try and put a lot of pressure on this Ornn, because if he's just free to teleport around and he has 70%, 80% health when he's teleporting in, even if there's a Gnar on top of him, then kind of failed in the counter matchup in some ways. But I think if Prankuru goes for an aggressive build, he can thrive. Oh my goodness.
Well, TimTam will be starting on the bot side, so pathing up towards top. Both junglers following that route. And my eyes have to be towards this bottom lane, though. This Pyke plus Yasuo combo, obviously level 1, going to be getting shoved in, but once you get a couple levels under your belt, you get that incredible mobility from both characters. At level 2, will now be looking to get aggressive. Layden's already finding a hook for himself, and Udon is going to go in. The exhaust comes through. Kingme's low HP. He has to flash away, but both flashes will follow. It's ring around the rosy, but Kingme has a lot of damage. He does get pulled back over, and that might bring him in Death Store's range. He does fall. First blood going to go over to Layden's. All summoners used except for Cold Cottage's flash. But it is the Yasuo Pyke to come out on top, and there's the flash.
Yeah, that was a fiesta down there. You just saw everyone going to be Alco gamers, and there's a lot of healing actually coming out from Kingme there over time, and made it really hard for this Yasuo Pyke to get that kill. But they have so much lockdown in that Pyke kit, and so much damage coming out from that Yasuo once he stacks the Conqueror, so...
Ooh, good steal away there on the Scuttle. But are they going to live after it? TimTam will fall, and Prankuru is now in a 2v3. Savara helps even the odds, but that is just a Seraphine. They get no use sync down. It's just a couple hundred HP, but the knock-up comes through, and Solendric will claim that kill. Prankuru, not wanting to flash away, took the stat check and did not come up.
And a little bit interesting to see that Prankuru didn't flash at the end of that. I think that was a little bit of a misplay, Might be saving it for some aggressive play later, but as we said, this Gnar might be trying to go a little bit more aggressive, as we're seeing already with this teleport in, but Ornn has enough safety there, and yeah, he ends up going down, but does pick up a kill for himself. So not the worst trade at the end of the day.
Yeah, and that play is made possible by the fact that Udon Badan and Layden's got that double kill in the bottom lane. You could tell that No Use Sync kind of wanted to hover around the bot side, make sure his dual laner got set up. But once they got the kill, he knew that they were set, and he was allowed to actually contest that scuttle from Timmy Tam. Used the mid lane prio that he had from Toponer to actually kick off that play. So just interesting to see what that 2v2 kill was able to get for them. Prankuru has a big wave coming to his turret here, but it's in the bot side that hook comes through again. King Me just got back into lane, and already he's being bullied, and he might go down. Actually, the flash belly slam is going to help secure the kill. Give him the old thumbs up, and King Me's off to a rough start.
I think No Use Think didn't even get an assist for that, so a little bit of a flash for not, but the thought was there, moral support, and just flashing for fun, I guess. But in the end, this is the Yasuo and Pyke starting to snowball that lane, and as you said, the Senna going to be really far behind already, down about 700 gold actually to the Yasuo. And this is starting to look pretty scary as a Senna because you don't have a lot of mobility, you don't have a lot of escapes, and you're really reliant on hitting your W, the root, to be able to get away from these plays. But if it misses or if it's windwalled, then you're pretty much dead in the water to the Pyke and the Yasuo.
Yeah, and Illinois College are just not getting the same kind of lead back in the top lane that the Yasuo and Pyke are generating down in the bot side. Prankuru is only up about 10 CS. They might be looking for something here as Cold Cottage has roamed all the way up, but Solendric still has flash, and Prankuru can't even get in range for that ultimate. So staying alive under this tower, it's just isn't the lead that I think Illinois College were hoping for. They might go for the dive again, but No Use Think is here to back him up. Solendric has the ultimate. He is going to grab 2 and hop away to his jungler. Here comes the Ornhorn. Timmy Tam still not level 6. Prankuru has to flash away, and Timmy Tam is left out to dry. It's a failed dive, and meanwhile, the Yasuo and Pyke have completely shoved King Me off from the turret. He's still level 3, and he can't even approach the wave.
Yeah, poor Kami here. Cold Cottage Koala kind of ditches him down in this bot lane and says, hey, you've already lost your lane. Have fun. But this is the Yasuo and the Pyke just punishing the Senna pick. Up 2 levels on each of them. And Kingme's level 3, as you said. And while he gets a soul off of Layton's there, they're just getting so many tower plates. And this is starting to go out of control already. Purdue Northwest has themselves a 3,000 gold lead at 7 minutes. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, and those souls, only the 9th there for King Me. Just grabbed his 10th, so not even really getting the benefits of a farming Senna where you have an increased soul generation. He just can't even walk up to the wave. So things are looking to go from bad to worse for Illinois College. They have to turn this around soon. They have a powerful support in the mid lane who has been farming up decently well, but if they don't have a carry to stick in front of it, that's not really going to help them much. Now, the dragon has spawned, and that's not even going to be a contention. Purdue Northwest are going to be able to grab that one pretty freely.
Yep, and that gives more stats over to the Tristana, over to the Yasuo and Pyke. But, oh my goodness, in the mid lane, yeah. A lot of damage going back and forth.
Big damage, and even gets the charm. They're out of the Seraphine, so they know they can just push up on her. Prankuru does find a good trade, and Solendric has a lot of ground to cover. This could be the chase down, especially as Prankuru is about to go mini. Gets that hyper speed, and should be a solo kill here for him. So finally something back for the Illinois College top laner.
Yeah, and Prankuru able to pick up that solo kill. Gonna help himself out a little bit more, but in the end is somewhat inconsequential. Orin's always gonna end up getting tanky and already has this Ninja Tabby and the Bramble Vest. So despite Prankuru being able to potentially pick up an earlier item here, just the rest of the map is not looking good for Illinois College, and Udon Badon and Layton's are just bullying this lane, and looks like they're going in again.
And they were way too far up in the lane there. This is, I mean, it's bound to happen, right?
Yeah, it's they just push up, no vision, and all of a sudden there's a Predator Gregus coming down on top of you. Cold Cottage Koala gonna get flashed out. And yeah, this is just cyberbullying, man. I don't know what to say.
Ooh, it's gonna be a turret dive in the mid lane though. Toponer is just able to jump in, get the kill, and hop right back out. Really good moves from Purdue Northwest. They're not taking their foot off the pedal. They're continuing to aggress onto these lanes. Granted, Illinois College feel like they're a little asleep at the wheel right now, and they're kind of just walking up and allowing this to happen. King Me can't even go into his own jungle without burning the flash. This one feels like it might be over before it even begins. 4,000 gold lead at 10 minutes.
And Illinois College bot lane is just crying right now. It's Valentine's Day, and they're the ones that are alone at the club. They're with their buddies, and they're like, man, I wish I had someone to be with. And right now, Senna's like, dude, I wish I had a Lucian or something around here. I need my husband to save me because this is so difficult for the Senna to do anything. This Yasuo level 7, Pyke level 6, and Senna still level 4. And
they want to force onto Cylindric here, but Toponer, he's not even going to let Seraphine join the fight. And everybody else is going to turn on to Cold Cottage. Koala's still level 5. Kingme's dying in the bot lane. Oh my word. Spare me. I don't want to look at this anymore. Can we cut to a break, please? This is just disgusting.
This is like, it's hard for me to put this into words because the initial draft from game, you know, Senna can do a lot of damage in that mid to late game, but right now it doesn't matter because Senna's level 4, 3 levels down on the Yasuo, 2 levels down even on the Pyke, and I don't know what you do as the Senna. You just kind of try and stay as safe as possible, like bring Seraphine down to help as well.
They're at least going to try to get a kill on a No You Stink. He gets the heal off the smite, but he does get shut down. Prankuru now about to go Mega. They stole away the Rift Herald, so Illinois College coming up with at least something for themselves. They steal away a kill as well as an objective, and maybe that buys a little bit of time. Prankuru, we talked about being this form of damage for the team in front of these supports. He hasn't even been able to get to his mythic item yet, so still a long ways away from being the carry that Illinois College need. Is 3-1 though, is up roughly 800 gold here, so he's at least on his way. But with the state of the game and the fact that Toponer and Udon Badan are just so far ahead, it feels like that's a pipe dream that's way too far off in the distance.
Yeah, one can say it's a Pyke dream because this Pyke is also very strong ahead. And Kingme, will he live?
Leave him alone.
It's not just a game. When every move feels like a power play. It's opened my eyes to a whole new world. It's where I find myself and get lost in the game.
Package for James Miser.
Once you start smoking, the consequences will find you. Cigarettes may leave you with stained teeth, gum disease, and more.
This isn't fair. He's just trying to get some farm, and now maybe Illinois College, we can find some vengeance for their fallen ADC in the top lane. Udon Badan just got to kind of walk away. Cylindric, good flash from the charm. And yeah, it's that easy. Not even close.
Yeah, they use the teleport to get up to the top lane from Savara, but the Seraphine doesn't have any damage, has the Bandle Glass Mirror under her belt, which means that she has approximately no AP, and it's really difficult for her to do any sort of damage. But
might have been found. He has a lot of ability. Okay, yeah, he's fine. I got a little bit excited for nothing.
Yeah, Leighton's going to be able to just get out of that pretty easily, you know, has the Ghost Water dive, and can just really get out of anything, gets rooted up a little bit, but once we see the items come through onto this Pyke and this Yasuo, they're going to be even scarier, and if they keep moving around as a tandem, they have so much lockdown, and it looks like the Immortal Shield Bow going to be coming through from Yasuo in the next little bit. I believe he has enough gold for that, and Pyke, I'm going to see if he goes for the Prowler's Claw, can give you a nice little interaction with your E, you can dash even farther than you ever thought was possible with that champion, so but yeah, at this point of the
mobility. They're going to end up trading the second Drake for a little bit of extra gold. We'll be able to take the tower, actually, thanks to that Rift Herald that they picked up earlier. So second turret, actually, didn't even get that one. Man, this game has been accelerated. Toponer's going to be looking to knock down some plates in response, though. Illinois College will pick up the scraps that they are allowed. But these dragons stacking means that there's not going to be a lot of time for them to even scale up to that team fight power when they're going to be looking down the barrel of a soul here in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, and looking down the barrel of Tristana's gun, because she's really fed at this point. 115 CS has gotten a lot of priority in that mid lane. A 550 gold shutdown at 13 minutes, and a lot of that is off of the farm, going to pick up this tower as well. They're really just trying to break this game open as quickly as possible. At 14 minutes, they have taken 3 towers on the map and an inner turret specifically down in that bot lane. 10 plates for themselves, so that's a lot of gold in their pocket.
They might have found something here. Tagging up No You Stink. He's pretty fast. Has that Predator. He's going to pop that to get out of there safely. But with as dominating as this game is going for Purdue Northwest, wouldn't be a stretch at all to say that they're going to walk away with this one pretty handedly. You got to start thinking, though, game 2 for Illinois College, because this is not a team that we expected to fall over so easily. They did look like they'd be able to challenge Purdue, and they're trying to right now, but Timmy Tram is going to fall down to half HP really before the fight even starts. This red buff belongs to the Yasuo, and Purdue were just reminding them of that. A cask is actually going to save Illinois College here, knocks Cold Cottage away from that hook, but they take a lot of damage, and they aren't able to secure any of their camps here. But as I was speaking to, this is a team that we were hoping would be fighting for one of those top spots. And the question has to be asked, is Purdue just this much better? Or was this just an anomaly for Illinois College? Maybe they'll be able to give us a better looking game in game number 2.
I think that we really do have to look at the bigger picture, right? This might, as we said off the top, this is a set comp from the side of Purdue, and they know the strengths and weaknesses of it, and they're playing around the strengths incredibly well. And we just need to keep looking potentially towards game 2. Potentially some bans need to get thrown out, and they might have to give over some power picks to the side of PNW if they want to try and get something they're a little more familiar with, because it looks like they're so lost around this Tristana Yasuo Pike core that they have for themselves.
Yeah, they just have no options. Watching these towers fall, it's 15 minutes into the game, and they can't even put defensive vision in their own jungle. Timmy Ebe is level 8 right now, compared to like top laners are hitting level 10. Toponer's almost level 12. This is just, it's saddening, honestly, to watch Illinois College have no options in this game. You know, they're not even making any wrong moves right now. It's just the fact that they're so far behind that they can't do anything.
Yeah, they can't make moves at all. That's the main thing. The only thing that's really been positive for them is that Kingme's actually caught up in levels. He was, I think, 3 levels down for the longest time, but now Udon Badon been teaming up with this team, getting a couple of towers. But if you still look at that gold gap down in the bot lane, it's 2,800 gold at 16 minutes. Like, that's sometimes the gold lead you see over the entire course of a game, but now it's happened in 15 minutes, 16 minutes now. And this Yasuo, with all of these knockups in the comp, going to be getting just stronger and stronger. Has that Immortal Shield Bow, looking towards picking up an early Executioner's Calling to cut through that healing from the supports.
Yeah, the one good thing that Illinois College have come through for themselves is that Moonstone Renewer picked up from the Seraphine. Thankfully, she doesn't need a lot of gold to be effective, so they're going to have a pretty large spike in team fighting power, and you can see them already grouping up as 5 here. They know that the game is only going to get worse. They have to try to make a move now that some of these mythics have come in, and the Rift Herald is going to be what they choose to fight over. No You Stink has the flank, though. If he can throw out this good cask, okay, they're going to be happy with just forcing them off the Herald, and they will go back to picking up farm.
Yeah, and just want to take a look at some of the itemizations as well. Yasuo has already picked up that Quicksilver Sash. So as I was saying, the 1,300 gold Skarner tax has already been paid by that Yasuo, picking it up very early. Meanwhile, as we see Ornn level up even further, level 11 now, he's going to start to get those Ornn items towards his teams really soon. So we're going to see that upgraded arrow pack on the Gragas. We're going to see the Wormfall and Sacrifice on Tristana and the Blood Ward on that Yasuo. Whereas Pike, just bought that Umbral Glaive, gets a little bit more vision control, and really dominating the vision game as well.
I'm actually surprised Unam Badan spent so much resources investing into that Skarner tax. He was able to pick up the Executioner's Calling as well, really making sure that he's not going to deal with any design choices by Riot Games, or he's just unable to kill somebody because of Moonstone Renewer. But theoretically, he could be very close to completing something like his Infinity Edge or the Phantom Dancer if he wanted to go even more defensive at this point. So actually sacrificing a large amount of combat power just to pick up that utility and make sure that he is going to stay safe in these fights.
Yeah, a big thing is basically, if you look at it from the item perspective, if you take away that Executioner's Calling and you take away that QSS, it's almost as if the Yasuo and the Senna are even on items. However, Yasuo still has that 50 CS advantage, actually sitting on a decent amount of gold, so could back and pick up a pickaxe. But
Prankuru, he just gets deleted. Here's nothing he can do. Chaponer is so much damage. He's a higher level than Prankuru at this point, and Illinois College are just watching by the sidelines as their base is just torn apart. Shelly is going to dive into the inhibitor turret at 19 minutes. And
might even get a
Purdue
charge
Northwest have free reign.
Yeah, and actually they're going to get this inhib on the back end of that. That's a really early inhibitor, which is good and bad. It means you get super minions coming into your base, so more experience, but it could just mean the Baron goes down in 30 seconds from PNW here. They are in control of this game. And even though Yasuo did opt to go for a more defensive choice in picking up the Executioners and picking up the QSS, he's still really strong, don't get me wrong.
And they find some members lacking. There was a flash forward. It's the drag back. And Toponer, a 3-man stun. They're layering the ultimates on top of each other, but it just doesn't matter. There's no damage in this squad at all. Purdue Northwest says thanks for the fight, and they're turning around. Prankuru does finally join, and that Gnar ultimate might buy them some space, but it still seems like maybe Illinois College is turning it around. Shut down for Prankuru. He gets a double kill, and the savior from the top laner when everything seems lost. Illinois College walk away with an ace.
Wow, what a fight from Illinois College. They might actually turn this around into a Baron, and Prankuru gets a huge 3-man Gnar ultimate. And the real question I have there is, why doesn't Tristana have that QSS yet? She is such a priority target for the Skarner to jump on, and despite Skarner going down at the end of that, they are able to tank up just enough damage, and the Pike ult didn't have enough to execute, so no resets coming through, and that's going to be a Baron picked up for Illinois College, and they're going to make this game a little bit harder than it has any right to be, if we're being honest.
If you watch a lot of competitive League of Legends, you'll be bound to hear casters talking about the perfect team fight. And it's usually when we see a team fighting comp and we're usually saying it negatively, like, oh, they're drafted for the perfect team fight, but they're probably never going to actually get it. That was the perfect team fight that we talk about. Every single ultimate landed on multiple members there. Timmy Tram found the flash ult priority target into a 4-man charm. King Me hit all his members with the ultimate. So did Koala. And then Prankuru finding that huge Gnar ultimate in the back end of it. That went as perfectly as it possibly could have for Illinois College. The question is it going to be enough? They're still down 6,000 gold, and the chances of them finding that team fight again.
Hey guys, welcome to the stream. It's Little Sia. I'm a Twitch ambassador and I just hit 10,000 subscribers on Twitch. A lot of people tune in to see the emotes being used. Yay! I didn't have anyone to do my emotes, and then I found Jinko.
Sometimes finding the perfect job can be difficult. As a designer, I'm always trying to up-level my work, and this was a great opportunity to do that.
I'm so lucky that Jinko and I connected because I really don't think I would have this type of success without him.
Great moments are the work of many.
Who's that?
A free TurboTax live tax expert.
Why do you need a tax expert?
His advice is free, and I can file for free.
Is my son still a dependent if he eats my food?
File a simple return for free, now with advice from a TurboTax live expert.
Get up to $700 this month while listening to music, or filling out the crossword, or brainstorming what to make for dinner, and help save lives. Become a CSL plasma donor today.
Are slim to none, because I don't think Purdue Northwest are going to be caught sleeping at the wheel again like that.
Yeah, I think they got a little bit too ahead of themselves there. They were like, hey, we're going to try and force the fight and get this Baron and end this game as quickly as possible. But I guess they kind of forgot that Tristana didn't have QSS there. But now look at the inventories. That's 3 QSS taxes paid. So they're going to have a lot of members who can get away from that Skarner ultimate. And if we're being honest, you don't want to drag the Gragas back into your team. You don't want to drag that Ornn back into your team. So they're going to have to be very selective in their fights and potentially try and burn those QSSs so that the Skarner can go in.
They do find a pull onto Cold Cottage Koala right under the turret, and he is going down. Now it's a 5v4, and that really starts to shut down the Baron play. They're teleporting in Cylindric as well. He's going to come out with the Orn Horn, and King Me already taking damage. 2-man Yasuo knock up, and King Me will fall. Illinois College, say your last goodbyes because your Nexus is next. Udon, Badan, and the rest of Purdue Northwest are tired of playing this game. They want to get Game 2 rocket as quickly as they possibly can.
Yep, and as we were saying, the perfect team fight for the side of Illinois College is so slim for it to happen. And Vancouver are going to pick up another kill there, but they're able to get an against.
They actually stave them off, so it'll at least be one more chance to defend their base. Illinois College, they look like Cold Cottage at least wants to go for more. I think the rest of his team was trying to rein him in a bit there.
And the main thing is that Ocean Soul's going over to the side of Purdue Northwest right now, and really going to be difficult for the side of Illinois College to get in there. It's already getting burnt down, and this is going to be Ocean Soul over to the side of PNW.
Didn't have Smite, but don't even need it. The Ocean Soul picked up now. Illinois College, they're just throwing their head against the brick wall. Maybe it'll work at some point. And they do grab the Yasuo. Prankuru now on a rampage. They find 1 kill as Purdue Northwest retreat. Prankuru maybe trying to force more, but it seems like the rest of the members are going to be able to get out, resets, and there really isn't anything on the map for Illinois College to take after that.
And despite losing the Yasuo there, they get that Ocean Soul, which is a permanent buff. And even though they didn't get the Baron at the front end of that, they were able to push against the purpled up. I'm trying to speak, it's hard. The purpled up Illinois College, and they were able to take a Nexus Tower, and that's not going to respawn ever. So despite the inhib respawning, and despite them losing that Baron, they do pick up the Ocean Soul, and they are able to pick up one of those Nexus Towers, and they're still in the driver's seat, still ahead about 7,000 gold.
Yeah, and honestly, if they wanted, Purdue could probably just walk down the mid lane, retake that inhibitor, and maybe just even end the game. They do look like they're going to fix their side waves first, at least clear out all of this vision. Ladence has been very good at this game at dictating the jungle and how much he allows Illinois College to see. Currently sitting at a 104 vision score compared to Cold Cottage Koala's 47. So the king of wards here. And you love to see the 2 control wards in inventory. Doesn't even have a second item. He's just spending all that money on wards.
Yeah, and picked up that Umbral Glaive, which is so good on Pike. You know, always wants to roam around and clear out that vision, and gives them the opportunity to just kind of stalk around in the jungle and look for some picks. Looks like they might find one.
Oh, don't do him like this. It's the Fnatic Death Brush, and Timmy Tam's the target. It'll go down. And Illinois College know that they are on the back foot. They have to run for the hills. Ornhorn just going to find the Braum. A well-placed ultimate will buy a little bit of space. Illinois College starts to retreat to the safety of their Nexus Towers, trying to put a little bit of damage back. King Me has that rapid fire completed, and Prankuru wants to go forward, but he flashes forward, does find a 4-man ultimate, and Seraphine finds a couple as well. It's a good start to the fight from Illinois College, and Prankuru will lead the charge as Purdue is falling back. But that Ocean Soul is keeping them healthy. They're looking to re-engage. They find the knockups. A shutdown on the Ladence in Illinois College. They're starting to win the fight. Saponer tries to make a hero play, but it doesn't matter. It's a double kill for Saponer, but it's a 1 fight for Illinois College on the brink of destruction. They win the fight, and they might be able to bring this one back a little bit.
As we were saying off the top, Prankuru is massive. 10-2-5. Has 100% kill participation in this game, and he's putting Illinois College on his back. He's saying, no, we are not losing this game on my watch. They can do it over my dead body. And so far, he's been dead twice, and that's usually been when they've won the fight. So Prankuru really saying, hey, this is my game to lose. I'm going to carry our team. And they've closed up that gold gap now to about 5,000 gold.
And this isn't even the full damage Gnar that we were possibly alluding to earlier. This is Steric's Gauge into that Randuin's Omen, and he's doing all of this damage. The Mega Gnar just has so much stats packed into that form. So you can't even really focus him down into these fights because he's so darn tanky. However, he has to be around for these fights to go well. We've seen time and time again that if Prankuru is not present, Illinois College does not do so well. So he has to be playing at his best here in this game. Checking in on Kingme. He is currently sitting at 69 souls. So still a lot less that we would like to see him at this point, especially around 3 items. You're kind of hoping for the 80 to 100 mark. But he will at least have a couple of extra stacks under his belt, have a little bit of extra range. And he does have the rapid fire cannon as well as the mortal reminder completed.
I think the biggest thing about Senna getting to those stacks is that she was so stunted in that early game, had so much trouble getting those stacks. And if I'm remembering correctly, she has gotten about 60 of those stacks.
This is going to be a big fight here. Illinois College throwing everything they have all in on this Baron play. It's down to about 2,500 HP. But is it who's going to win the 50-50? Ornhorn comes through, and it is Illinois College that get the objective. But here comes the fight. They're actually walking forward. Udamadan is so low, and Illinois College have taken no damage in this fight. The Senna is keeping them so healthy. The Poner is going to fall on the backside, a shutdown to come through. Ooh. But Frankuru was sitting in a 1v2 when he falls. That is huge. Illinois College just lost their most fed member, but they're able to take down Saponer in exchange. It's going to be a 4v4, and they're looking to continue the fight. No use think he's looking for that barrel on the side. The belly flop is going to find 2. And here's the engage that Purdue was looking for. A double kill already for the Yasuo. Make it 3. And only the Seraphine is going to survive. It is 30 seconds on the death timers. And it is 4-man strong for Purdue pushing into the mid lane.
And that's just the power of the Ocean Soul right there. Remember when Udon Badan had like 100 HP? He's full health off of the fight, and that's not only from the Blood Ward that was just finished up there, but it's also just from that Ocean Soul, healing him so much over that fight. And they look poised to take at least an inhibitor, but Prankuru has responded, so they might be looking towards this Elder Dragon. Actually just realized that's on the map, and that could be the next objective, and putting this onto the 5 members strong with that Ocean Soul is going to be so scary for Illinois College.
Yeah.
Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? We have a good Week 4 match, Intense versus Phantom Rose Gaming, and JC, it feels like it's been forever since we've had a good match going on here in Upsurge.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for this one. These two teams, they should be pretty evenly balanced. They're both sitting at 2-1. They've both had pretty similar seasons so far. And so getting into Week 4, these two teams both sitting at the 2nd and 3rd seed respectively in their division. They are looking to really further their name that they've been making for themselves here and really further their chances at the upcoming playoffs. Of course, the top 4 teams in each division will end up making the playoffs. So these teams still have a little bit of ways to go, but they also are looking to solidify themselves in that top spot, especially for the seeding.
For sure. And something else to think about here, Upsurge runs a pretty short season. We've only got 5 weeks of play. We're here in Week 4, so I mean, if you lose here, you're kind of risking it. If you take another loss next week, that leaves an opportunity for a team to move their way up and potentially leapfrog right over you and guarantee themselves a spot in the playoffs and, you know, leave you crying at home.
Yeah, I think what something else that is worth noting, Sticula, is the fact that both of these teams actually have only lost to one team, and they both lost to the very same one. It worked. The only undefeated team in this division has really had their way with both of these teams so far. In addition, both of these teams beat Nemesis. So we have 2 direct points of comparison, and both of these teams, they equally match each other in both of these points. So I'm really curious to see how this one is going to play out. I expect this one to be pretty close, and given that we do have infinite overtime here at UPL, this one could really go the distance, possibly. We could see more than just your typical 12 or 15 rounds if these teams really are as evenly matched as the standings would indicate.
Yeah, honestly, I'm really hoping for that infinite overtime. It's a fun dynamic we have for the regular season, and I honestly, I haven't heard from the other casters yet if we've had a game that's actually gone into infinite overtime. And, you know, for a best of 1, they tend to be pretty short. I mean, you usually get your 12 rounds once in a blue moon. If you have an especially close match, you'll see that 3 rounds of the first overtime. But, hey, maybe we'll have something different today and things will go a little bit longer. That's what I'm hoping for. We've got the map bans coming up just soon, so we'll be able to figure out where we'll be playing tonight. Hoping for one of those more kind of exotic maps, maybe a break from the normal or something good for these 2 even teams to test their mettle on.
It's always fun to see one of those more unique maps come into the pool. Theme park, coastline, consulate, something in that vein is always fun to see. Don't get me wrong, but at the same way, seeing these staple maps, the T3 special that we call it sometimes, it's also really good to just compare the 2 teams on a map that everyone knows and loves. You get a really good point of comparison. You get to say, the team that won here is just the better team. There was no, theme park blindside that came through to change this one up. It was simply just these 2 teams slugging it out, and that is who, prevailed. That's the better team. We actually still have theme park on the board here, but as I say that, we will get that final ban to come through, and there it goes. Looks like we're going to end up on Villa, the first map and the only map of this best of 1.
Villa's a good map. I think it definitely falls into that kind of even sort of testing category for the maps, and Villa's the one we've had a lot recently in Upsurge. It's been coming up pretty consistently. It's kind of an easy one to get started on, and, because there's only best of 1s, you want to play that map that you're most comfortable on, but if there's any VOD review going on, your opposition, they're going to knock out your key pillar support map. So if you tend to go to that same place consistently, not only is it going to create a problem here in the regular season because the enemy has 3 bans, but if you look forwards towards playoffs and best of 3s, if you leave a weak map open, you might just have that picked into.
Villa, it's one of those maps that really is great to see, not because, you see it all the time specifically, but this one is one of those maps that really presents the attackers and the defenders, honestly, with so many more options than your average map. Say Clubhouse or Oregon, you really don't have more than some subtle differences to change up your attacker defense and keep things viable. But on Villa, there are 2 overarching strategies for both of the primary bomb sites, Trophy and Statuary and Aviator in game specifically. Now, On defense, you can elect to just hold down the site and go for a turtle and maybe send one roamer here or there, or you can completely extend your defense, kind of like you would on Theme Park, over to the other side of the map. You extend it to the other bomb site. If you're on AVG, you extend the trophy. If you're on a trophy, you extend it back toward that south side. So that is two very viable options on defense. And in the very same vein, on attack, you have that decision to make as well. Do you want to go for that full roam clear, working your way through some utility and just, eventually clearing your way back to the bomb site? Or do you want to go for a direct approach, something that can often be indicated to us by the ban phase? But regardless, it is always so cool to see what these teams want to bring to the table on both defense and attack, and Villa is a perfect map, but it really allows that choice to be had from these teams.
Yeah, and I really like the point that you bring up, all the various options that you've got on the board here, because especially for Villa, as we're kind of rolling through with that dynamic of teams proving their worth ahead of the playoffs, Villa, with all the varying options, the best teams that are able to adapt quickly and figure out the most optimal strategy to run against their opposition, Villa has those opportunities. It's not like Clubhouse where you're sort of locked into going for one or two things. You can change things up. You can go for the direct route, as you mentioned. You can try to get more hard breaching, more kind of pincers, more cross angles opened up, and it's really kind of the biggest opposition or the biggest opportunity map because there's just so much that you can get done. I'm hoping today to see maybe a little bit of a striation, not so much kind of the main primary, secondary bomb sites. I know you and I had that Villa game the other night in Collegiate where it just felt like every single opportunity you were going to Trophy or you were going to Aviator, there was no dining in sight. Hoping to have that changed up just a little bit. And honestly, dining, it's talked about as a tertiary bomb site, but I think it can definitely punch above its weight.
I mean, that is the case for so many tertiary bomb sites out there. You think of Reading Room and Fireplace Hall on Cafe. The beauty of tertiary bomb sites across the entire game is, sure, they're a bit harder to defend at the very surface level, but they're a bit harder to attack as well. Not because the layout of the bomb site specifically, just because the teams do not have as much practice attacking these bomb sites. They are not attacking these every 2 seconds. They are rarely attacking these bomb sites. Sure, in scrims you get that done, but simply in your gaming experience, as you are just completely lost in the matrix there, Sticula. I mean, it really does seem that these tertiary bomb sites are the sites that smart defensive teams can just pull out of their hat and say, here, deal with this crazy setup that you've never seen before, and good luck doing it. Because that is where the creativity really can come to light. When you're pulling out a bomb site that just is not as familiar, that is where you can make a difference in a map. I love when we see those bomb sites actually work pretty effectively.
So ahead of us actually getting into the match itself, we can kind of speak more on the topic of the rosters. I'm pretty familiar with both of these two teams. Intense specifically had a long history of casting them during ESA's summer season, which just feels like forever ago now. They only have one member really from that same old core roster. That's Kunai. Also joining them, they have Lycos, Angel, Storm, Roberts. I know we've had a lot of talk about Angel. He's been that big player to watch for. If this team, maybe they're not having the best time, he's still there carrying his weight and pulling them over the line. Over on the Phantom Rose Gaming side of things, you've got Relahado, who's a player I have a long history with, and he's a good friend of mine. We haven't seen totally too much, so I can't give you, my coach's aspect into exactly what we'll have broken down here. But Jay-Z, I'm going to post a question to you. Between these two teams, who do you think is going to fare better tonight?
I wish I had more than just a toss-up answer to that. I mean, I am not too familiar with both of these teams. I've seen PRG Phantom Rose play before. They are a strong team. I haven't actually seen Intense play, nor have I casted one of their games. So to me, that's going to be kind of that dark horse team, to me at least, that I'm just not familiar with too much in the way of their roster. I know they're coming out of Canada, the French Canadian team. They're looking to spice things up here in UPL and definitely make their presence felt here. But honestly, I think that Phantom Rose, just because of my experience seeing them in the past, I might give them the edge. But really, it's going to be a complete toss-up.
Okay, I think I get that. Sort of as we're still waiting back in week 3, we were kind of speaking about this before the broadcast, and we had that point brought up about it worked and the fact that both of these teams haven't been able to triumph over that team yet. In week 3, it was Phantom Rose who did face it worked, and they brought it pretty close, 5-7 for an undefeated team, bringing them through all 12 rounds of regulation. That was... It's good to know that you can pull it all the way through every single round, and that could give you a huge aspect here. I'm hoping that we have that overtime. We already talked about infinite overtime in week 3 as well. NTNS beat Black Mamba, so they do kind of have that little bit of a I would say morale boost, knowing that they've just come off of a victory. They're looking to improve their standing, and there's that road forward starting to be paved.
Yeah, and I guess only time will tell in terms of exactly how this one's going to shake out. We're still waiting for our players. No, we're actually good to go. Everyone is in the lobby, and Villa will now finally get underway, and the speculation will now turn into, hopefully, some actual action here. We're going to see how things, like I said earlier, things can really be established early on just by some creative bans. Obviously, you have your stock standard bans, your Thatcher, your Ace, your Kaid, maybe a Mira and a Valkyrie. Your pretty basic bans won't change up pretty much anything about the meta. But when you implement something a bit different, you toss maybe a Pulse ban in there to shake up the way that tertiary bomb site is played. Maybe a Goyo ban even. Anything to differ from your normal lineup of bans is just going to mean that we may see some more unorthodox plays, or at least some more unusual plays than we are used to seeing. But the fact that we have the Thatcher off the board and the Hibana next to follow, I don't think we're going to be seeing much of that variation.
Not really. This looks like your kind of traditional, get all the bad operators out of the way and allow Villa to play a little bit more comfortably. Intel bans are a huge trend we see on the defense, and Mira is either one that you ban out completely or she gets to play on the field today. Valkyrie taken away. Not really any surprises here. Still looking forward to maybe that possibility of the Pulse ban that can really impact how you play with the vertical game, as well as kind of a few intel opportunities that you get here and there. But no, the Pulse is left up on the board, and through the final veto, we'll have Mira taken away. Phantom Rose kick it off on the first defense, but for Villa, whoever begins on whichever side doesn't tend to matter all too often. It's a fairly balanced map, and it comes down to the teams, their preparedness, the coordination, and how all of those factors come together on the map. Ooh, there was a Ying teased early there by Storm. I wonder if that's maybe a 6-pick coming to the foray.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see the Ying in play. I honestly love to see that implemented here, but the Ashe is another one of those staple attacking operators on this bomb site. You've got both the Ashe and the Zofia. You've got the dual hard breacher, soft breacher rather, to really just bring that kind of utility to the table. It's so valuable for any attack, especially when you're staring down something of, several deployable shields. Obviously, in this case, it will just be one. K2 is on the smoke and is bringing out that shield, but for the most part, it's going to be your stock standard lineup here. So you've got the castle in play. That's the one that is, I think, the most interesting of all of these picks. You've got, of course, the Mozzie, and that's going to be your information denial. Those pests are going to be just that annoying drone grabbing kind of utility heavy operator to delay some sort of push, some sort of north to south clear that we see Phantom Rose setting up to counter. And the castle in play, though, what really changes this up is, I guess, it feeds into that delay meta. You put those castle barricades up, you really just stall out that push from that north side, and you force Intense on the attack to just use more of that utility. Of course, they're bringing a copious amount of that soft destruction ability, frag grenades, breaching hammer, impacts from the Zofia. You've got the breaching rounds and the breaching charges. This attack is going to have no issue in dealing with that kind of utility being deployed, but still, you're adding steps to an attacker checklist, which can really just benefit you in the overall grand scheme of things when it comes down to the clock.
Look at this. Here comes Storm around the corner with the R4C, eliminating K2. For the smoke to die so early, that's a huge blow. And Phantom Rose Gaming, they spent so long setting up this long extension over towards the north, but Intense just elected to almost completely ignore it. And they're doing all the right things. Fortunately, Angel goes down trying to hold off from the 90 window, but Kunai secures the trade frag. The hard breaching has been a big success. It looked like the east to west wall is open now, and watch the rotates here as the objective, it's got to be reclaimed. Storm and Roberts paving the way, and Nitro will fly over into the back of the bar, but does nothing to stop the plant. NTNS, Intense, what a first round, and Storm, he was really that spearhead who got it all going.
Yeah, just a clean play from Storm. Just walking on up main stairs and just clicking heads. I mean, that's the job of any Ashe main, and it seemed that there was no counter there on the side of Phantom Rose. That really did not shake up like your typical Aviator in games defense. Normally, there's a lot more focus on the mounting 90 pressure, on the slow pressure working their way in from that north side, the clearing out of that utility. We didn't really see much of that. It was kind of a shortcut, just sending it on into study, top of main stairs, Storm leading that very charge. Strong attack from Intense. They realized what they were dealing with, and they dealt with it. They saw the opportunity that was presented to them, and they, I guess, took advantage of that opportunity as a result. Nice job there from Intense, and I guess the same cannot be said from Phantom Rose, although they did try to go for that north to south clear prevention, that setup on the trophy and statuary side, but with Intense not really leaning in and playing into the strategy of Phantom Rose, they're going to be heading back to the same bomb site again in hopes of changing things up a little bit. We are going to see the implementation of the mute rather than the castle to serve as that additional information denial and hard breach denial operator to complement the Mozzie, rounding out that what I like to call the information denial wombo combo.
I am honestly a bit worried by what I see here because Phantom Rose, they still haven't really stacked much support on main. You see the smoke is playing with the shield, but it doesn't take too much effort to clear that out. You've got ADSs, but I think some of those are being dedicated further down by 90, and Danny is not really in a position to deploy any Wamai magnets. Here we go, full metal against Storm. He's trying to be that entry again, but the Mozzie forced back dangerously close here through the softwell. He'll go prone, and now leaping over, he will manage to escape. Intense with a bit more of a direct assault this time. The Nitro sails up, but only a tiny bit of damage achieved there onto Storm. This time, not so much of the fast route, trying to completely avoid the strategy. I think Intense were almost sort of expecting Phantom Rose to rotate a lot of that utility and try to fortify the top study area, and they have done that in some respects, but still, they have the rest of this reliable pressure to burn time off the clock and hold back the waving tide of the offense.
Yeah, Full Metal, despite being on very low HP, is in a pretty strong position where he could be very detrimental to this attack if he times his swing on the top of red stairs properly, and if there's really no denial there from the air jabs of course, the Nomad, that's Kunai, now working his way around into landing. Full Metal on the preemptive swing. But that swing is going to be punished there by Kunai. Nice job to get that kill, and now to give Intense the one-up man advantage. Of course, there's still ample time on the clock, but Intense have done a pretty solid job of actually getting some good progress going. The one thing they have to worry about is some sort of extension that's coming out here from Phantom Rose, but Storm, he's going to say no to that. He's going to cut down Relajado and, again, keep on the pressure from Intense and make it seem that this attack from this 90 side is mounting ever stronger.
A2 creeping back, overexposed, and not enough manpower to cover all the various angles. This could be racing forwards towards a flawless round, and that's exactly where we will go. And NTNS, they play that one a little bit differently, a little bit more reserved, slow, gathering all that intel, but still achieve that same round one resounding success. This is kind of a worrying sign for Phantom Rose to look so uncomfortable, and with 2 opening losses on Aviator and games, I don't know if that's something we'll see repeated in the rest of this first half. Trophy and Statue will come up in this next one, and PRG need a fast pivot because, I mean, Intense, the way that they're playing this, it's fitting of their name. They're smothering every opportunity and not allowing the chance for the defense to begin to play that trade game.
Yeah, this is, I guess, the consequence of heading to the same bomb site twice in a row. You've kind of shown your hand to your attacking opponents. You Intense saw exactly what PRG was bringing to the table the first time, and so even the first success, just the main stairs push, worked out well. They changed it up a little bit. They went for a more methodical clear from the trophy and statuary side, and even though Phantom Rose changed some things up a bit, it just wasn't quite enough to prevent Intense from taking that. So a pretty strong job from Intense there, but again, that is the problem with going to Aviator in games twice in a row. Is you're putting the same kind of situation, you're risking going down like this 2 rounds in a row without trying any of the other bomb sites yet. That's just not the back foot that you're going to want to be on. And obviously these 2 sites, they play out very similarly, giving the attackers 2 approaches. Obviously you can send it straight in from master, or you can go for that study side clear, working your way all the way in from that south side. But with these 2 options and with the success that Intense have had, kind of just walking in and clicking heads, taking gunfights and winning them, obviously Phantom Rose, they find themselves on the back foot here, not the way they wanted to start off what is probably their most important season, their most important series of the season so far. And, on Villa, defensive-sided map, at least it used to be. Now it's going a bit more even, but starting off your defense like this, it's just not the way you wanted to kick things off.
Looked like Intense faced little contest in taking control of the vertical game downstairs inside of Tetris, and Storm is bailed off, returning back to the forefront of this assault to support his teammates. I imagine the hard breach and the wall denial below is being cleared to allow for Lycos to begin using those Selmas to open up the wall itself and try to get that good cross pressure so that you can apply it, cover all the various angles inside of the objective. Roberts being tempted here by Full Metal. For a player 0-2, continuing to peek back and forth can be a dangerous slope to slip down on, and here goes Storm. We know how he plays in the entry. Is he just going to wide swing in? He spotted the head of the Mozzie, but perhaps checking closer towards the rotate, Full Metal will pull out the pistol to get the confirm. And Phantom Rose begin this round in a huge way now as Kunai goes down as well. Losing your Ash and your flank coverage, here's Roberts with an opportunity to collect the trade, but he's still being battled back by the Mozzie, who now has likely called for support from his teammate. Lycos there, headshot onto Relajado. It looked like he'd maybe peeked the concrete door, but Full Metal for a third. A triple kill as the Nitro scores it all the way, and the explosive will do nothing. Full Metal, he's on for the ace. Can he make it happen? The final attacker, the ace. Low HP, the pre-fire is there, and it's an ace for Full Metal. Phantom Rose with a phenomenal response.
I mean, a response is definitely a response, to say the least. I mean, Full Metal just melting every single attacker. It was the complete opposite in the way that round unfolded. Rather than Intense walking in and just taking gunfights and winning them, it was 5 attackers all challenging the identical gunfight on the identical position, and they all died in their 1v1s. It was just, that is not how you attack, pure and simple. You cannot be forcing that 1v1 gunfight so many times when Full Metal is just proving that wielding that commando, he is going to prevail every single time. Critical mistake there from Intense. They were obviously feeling confident from that last round. You've got to respect that, but you can't respect the way that one unfolded. That really just looked like the communication broke down, and at some point the calls were just dead, and everyone was like, you know what, let's just walk in and hope we win this gunfight. And obviously Full Metal had something to say about that, finding all 5 kills and his first 5 kills, but he will not only, make quite a performance in that round, but give Phantom Rose Gaming their first round of the map.
10 seconds remaining.
There is that big drawback when Intense are going to go for that kind of, I don't really want to call it a one-dimensional attack, but you're continuing to pressure the same area. And that's what they did. They tried to move in from the bathroom door, and it just wasn't working. I think if you had maybe rotated somebody to the Astro window, that could have been, maybe a 1-for-1 trade, a refract, not an ace for Full Metal, because there was, only that one door he really had to worry about. And even though there was support from Astro, it came so late in the round that Intense were not able to push all together at once. It was just like player after player was moving in. Here we go again, another direct assault. Intense will look to take control of the Study Stairs area, but looks like a Melusi Banshee stalling their path somewhat, but still, Phantom Rose seem hesitant to try to extend over towards Study, and I don't know totally if I agree with this. Mozzie wide swings. It's the battle of those two big fraggers. So far, Storm against Full Metal, but the Mozzie will die early in this round. A daunting prospect considering how much effort and how much weight he pulled in the last round.
A good start here from Intense, and this feels eerily similar, if you're Phantom Rose, eerily similar to the way that both of the previous Aviator in Games defenses didn't go off so well. Storm, just a free waltz up the main stairs and a couple of easy picks. Obviously, it's not an easy gunfight against Full Metal, but one that he will prevail in nonetheless. Storm taking a couple of shots there on to K2, who's playing behind that breach, and Danny is actually going to collect another. He's going to line up two, cutting down both Angel and Roberts, and that is going to leave Storm here hoping to pull this one back. Lycos, he'll do so, removing K2 and equalizing the man count. And again, Storm just looking for some picks through this soft destruction, and he will find one onto Loves. Just these gunfights, we're not seeing much utility being used. Look at the utility that Intense have in their pocket. Storm has all of his utility, drones included. Kunai has his flashbangs. Lycos has his smokes, and they are still just finding these frags. Finally, Lycos will utilize those smokes and block the line of sight between landing and that Study and Aviator door. But again, there's no push coming in right now. Storm is just holding this strong, waiting for that push to come in.
Diffuser going down. Where's the coverage here from Lycos? Do they have him protected? The Melusi tries to go for the swing, but Danny, he still shuts it down. Good trade there, 1-for-1 between Kunai and Danny, but Relajado holds back the Nomad, and now Storm has to come up yet again. 7-1 so far. He's that power player to watch for, and Relajado, no Diffuser, no Nitro even in his pocket to go for that explosive kill. He's going to have to take a heads-up fight, and here comes Storm. The R4C through the rotate, close up. Is the arm spotted? The Melusi, no! Relajado steady on the aim. He'll give Phantom Rose what they need in their darkest hour to allow finally a victory here on Aviator in Games, and what a close one there in the final seconds.
Hate to be critical of Intense again, but what was that, a 4 versus 2? 3 versus 2, Lycos, Kunai, and Storm against just two defenders, both separated, both somewhat out of position, but there was no coverage for the planter. Kunai wasn't there to support it, and then Storm wasn't playing close enough to Kunai to actually support the crossfire from Games. And Phantom Rose, realizing this, they just swung on out, took a couple of gunfights, and won them. I mean, that is the storyline that we've talked about several times now. It's just a bunch of gunfights. We're not seeing our typical Villa methodical strat heavy map that really goes heavily into that utility usage and the importance of every single piece of utility. That is not the Villa we are seeing right now. I mean, it is a close one. We're sitting at 2-2 with both of these teams definitely fighting it out. This is not quite the way I envision. Regardless, the tertiary bomb site is finally going to rear its ugly head, and what some call the Nitro Cell Bonanza is going to be a factor. You've got the Pulse, Relajado opting to bring that heartbeat sensor, and you've got 4 C4s in pocket. K2, Danny, Full Metal, and Relajado all have a Nitro Cell in their pocket. What we will probably see is them looking to just rain those up to the ceiling above and cut down any attackers looking to get that vertical pressure going. Of course, Intense have already defied some expectations on their attacks, and maybe we're going to see something of a more aggressive horizontal take, but I guess only time will tell.
I'm really intrigued by the presence of the Jackal here. This hasn't been a real mainstay in some of the earlier compositions so far for the Intense offense. I wonder if this is maybe to try and I would say it's to try and eliminate the roam, but if you're bringing a Jackal, that's probably pretty self-evident. We've got a really close-up position here, and I think this might be the attackers looking to, again, ignore the main focus and the entire extension that the defense have contributed so much utility in setting up. One big problem, though, is the fact that it seems like you've got the Pulse, he's lurking around with the cardiac sensor, and you have those Malusi Banshees in position. So if Intense try to rush, they try to run in, they get in as fast as possible, there is a tiny amount of time in which there can be that communication between Phantom Rose to understand that the roam is here and that we have to rotate. They're not going to be caught completely shut down. A Nitro through the air. Storm, good footwork there. He'll manage to avoid it as the Nitro Cell Bonanza begins in quite a different fashion than we might have expected.
Yeah, Roberts, again, this vertical pressure non-existent from this attack. It's going to be purely a horizontal take, a strategy that is successful when coordinated well. But the fact that we're seeing a couple of solo picks come out, attackers isolated on these individual islands, nobody there to play the refrag, that's not what you want to see from Intense, especially given what we've seen from them. When their coordination is there, they'll take the round. These individual plays just haven't been working out just in these last 2 rounds. Of course, with that pick there, Lyco's cutting down Danny. That is going to bring things back just a little bit and even this one out almost. Of course, Intense still down a man with 4 staring them down on this bomb site, and now starting to group up and possibly work their way in from the pantry. It's good to see them grouping up finally, but of course Roberts is still isolated. A good C4 there being shot out by Lycos, and Roberts is actually going to use that kind of split push to catch K2 off guard, and will send the mute to the grave. Here comes the push from Storm and Lycos. The diffuser now going down. Storm on the coverage, collects 1, looks for the second. Here comes the swing, and he will get it narrowly. Roberts also on the coverage, leaving Loves all alone in a 1v3. Now a post plant, the Jaeger forced to get aggressive here. The pre-fire around the corner, but it's Roberts who collects the headshot, and Intense will collect the round. A nice response there, grouping up despite being down a man and using that coordination to their advantage.
Would you believe it? What a round to rip back, and even despite the defense having full intel on that play, Roberts, his cross coverage, the split push, as you titled it, I think that's what really got that round going. There was the equalization kill. We saw the player with the Nitro that was hiding behind the bar. With them eliminated, that attack, it got right back on track. And one thing that I was eagerly watching was the remaining Nitro cells, because we saw the defense, their whole focus was bringing Nitros, 4 of them, in fact, over other utility like shields and barbed wire that you might have otherwise picked. And when the plant came down, you know, those Nitros, they were so focused on other areas. There was one tossed right out of the detention window, effectively wasted it. I mean, it didn't do anything. And having those Nitros left in the post plant can be a big difference. But something else to draw parallels to is the improved nature of that round. Much better than the execute we saw last time, where there was no utility, no droning, no coverage, nothing at all. That one was a big win, and that's a lot of momentum moving forward.
Well, you may be pretty blurry there entering the shadow realm, but I will tell you what is quite clear. There we go. Now you're cleared up. But I will tell you what's quite clear in that round. I'll use this as a pretty good transition, and I'll say that seemingly when Intense can coordinate, when they're playing together as a unit, they are winning rounds. And that is no surprise. It's a game. It's a 5-man game. You're here as a unit. You need to be working together, not necessarily as one 5-man pack moving across the map, but at least use your teammates well. Work off each other. We saw Intense not doing that early in the round, and they lost 2 attackers because of it. No surprise there. But then, realizing they were down the man advantage, they were like, wait a minute, let's group up on the pantry side. Let's cover each other's crosses. You can cover while I get the plant down. You've got one other player, the Zofia, pushing in from China, and you've got this crossfire that you've established because all of a sudden, you've gotten your comms back up and ready. You've gotten the coordination up and running. That is why they took that round. If Intense want to come out of this half with the 4-2 advantage, much coveted on the attacking side on Villa, they just need to pull out that coordination one more time. When they don't, Phantom Rose capitalizes, they shut it down, they do a great job doing so, they are not allowing individual gunplay to shine. But they have to be able to prevent the coordination as well, and we really don't know. Given the inconsistencies with Intense right now, it's really hard to know what we're going to see on this bomb site in particular.
I suppose one thing that we could do is look back to the last time we had Statue come up, and that was probably the flashiest round we've had so far, and the big one that PRG have in their pocket, that was when Full Metal got an ace, single-handedly holding off the entirety of the bathroom Astro push. There was that same problem that we just identified, the fact that early in the round there were more individual plays than there were team successes. And going into this round, I would love to see that change. Maybe have somebody from Intense spawn to go up on the Astro Repel and watch that angle. Cover the rotate, and if Full Metal starts to go on his streak again, shut him down before it can gain any real traction. You have to have that double up pressure. If you're going to do everything else right, why compromise your attack with one single element? We already have kind of gotten an idea of how Intense like to go for this, going below, eliminating the wall denial, and then moving into Mastro itself, rotating with more manpower. Maybe this time Intense are going to go for kind of more of a long take and try to confront the entirety of the execute. I think the spawns will tell us a lot about that.
Yeah, already we're seeing where Intense are approaching from. They've spawned on the Ruin side, on the south and the east side, but we're actually seeing a big shuffle, a big rotation all the way around to that master bedroom side. So while the initial plan may have been to go for the methodical south to north clear, somebody's drone was in place. They assessed that they are going to encounter a ton of utility on this Aviator side. You've got Mozzie Pests, Mute Jammers, Reinforcements, Barbed Wire, ADSs. None of that Intense wants to actually have to deal with and push out. Instead, they're going to be opting for more of a direct take. You combine that with a little bit of vertical play that both Roberts and Kunai are now just beginning, and that should allow you to circumvent, at least in part, a good bit of this extension and what you would normally have quite a pain and quite a lot of time off the clock dealing with. It's, in fact, a lot of vertical is coming out. Storm and Angel are putting that vertical play down as well, but Relajado, he's confident enough to go for the bandit trick anyway. He's going to be teasing these bandit batteries on this wall, just trying to deal with any sort of utility that Lycos is going to throw down. I believe he was able to get one Selma charge there, leaving Lycos with only one. The nade is going to rain on through and force the bandit back. In the meantime, Roberts is going to find a kill onto Danny. Looks for the second, but no, it's Full Metal on the black box. The same position we've seen him excel in before. Oh, a nice C4 toss. Loves is going to follow that up with a kill of his own. And all of a sudden, NTNS, excuse me, Intense, I keep doing that, they're on the back foot.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
Astro is real cursed tonight, and Intense having no luck in getting in there. Storm will have to rear his head again and go for a big play. We know that he can make it happen. Like he spotted a Valkyrie deep over, holding it careful with the recoil control. Oh, there's the first one. That could be the start of things as the Jaeger tempts his luck in peeking the wall, but K2 eliminating Angel now. It's a 3 versus 1, and if Phantom Rose play this right, there should be no opportunity left in for a potential clutch. Don't close up. Hiding at the breach and looking for this opportunity. He knows the Jaeger was already detected playing close, and now the Mozzie rotating. The free fire is there, but Storm moving in. He'll find the first and not the second. K2 holds it down. Phantom Rose, even at the end of the first half, and they fix a lot of those mistakes. If only we had seen them play more Trophy and Statue.
Yeah, maybe if they started off on this bomb site, or at the very least switched off Aviator right away, we could see them finding a little bit more success. But turns out at the end of the half, things are going to be as even as we could possibly expect. I mean, if you cast your mind back to before this one, when we were theorizing about how this one was going to go down, we said that these two teams would be evenly matched. And while we've seen some pretty interesting stuff, a couple of critical errors from both of these teams, they are evenly matched nonetheless, going into half number 2 with that 3-3, 50-50 even split. You love to see teams so close like this, and honestly, we could very well see another half just as strong. It's going to come up to, I suppose, Intense, who are opting to go spicy a bit early on. They're going straight for this tertiary bomb site. They've got 3 C4s and the Pulse in the hands of Kunai, and they're already going to look to, I guess, make a name on this defensive side and really kick things off well. A win here would be huge. They're trying to get in the heads of the Phantom Rose attack early on. This is a play that could often work well, but at the same time, you're risking giving the momentum to the attacking team.
5 seconds to go.
Definitely want to hold on to that momentum. Now that we don't have to see any more defenses from Phantom Rose, there won't be that same aspect, I imagine, of an extension and a bunch of utilities stacked up in one area, and then simply intense ignoring it. Because that happened way more than I think Phantom Rose were totally comfortable with. For this vertical take, we have another kind of top floor setup. You have to be really careful though. Look at how these two defenders are exposed to the Astro window. Storm, with a good drone, could be taken out immediately. Angel holding below and covering the window. Here comes the standard pressure as the move jammer is detected, and Loves tries to get a foothold inside of Astro. They should have this intel, and they know the real danger that exists inside of Astro. It's happened so much so far. Danny and K2 double pressure, the headshot. Perfect crosshair placement there. That'll give Loves a great opening pick. And that might be that forward momentum that you need to capitulate the rest of this extension.
Yeah, here comes that pressure. Storm's been forced back off of the Vulcan shield, and there he goes. He's forced out of the round. Loves making that one happen. Of course, the C4 from Kunai will neutralize that at least partially, getting that kill onto the hard breacher, at least one of the 2 hard breachers. That's a pretty big pick right now, but what's going on is you actually have pretty little manpower on the bomb site itself. You've got Lycos, who's a bit isolated. He's on the top floor playing in 90 Hall, just looking to possibly catch some attackers off guard, but they seem very content on applying the vertical pressure. And of course, the danger and I guess the issue with putting the Goyo on that top floor is that C4 that you would normally use to put the pressure from below is no longer going to be there. Lycos will be rotating around as the vertical pressure will be continuing, so he'll reposition and will get closer to the bomb site at least to assist any sort of anchor play that needs to come down. But I guess for the next 15-20 seconds, it's all going to be about vertical play. Can the attackers find any shots from above onto any anchors who just can't find the right home on this bomb site? Kunai can supply the intel up above, but what he can't do is tell you where the bullets are going to be coming from. Now, it does seem that Phantom Rose have rotated. This is something that Kunai needs to be aware of, and it doesn't seem he is. The Maverick hole is going to be opened up. He's nearly going to get cut down, but Full Metal can't quite make it happen. Instead, it's the UMP from Kunai lighting up the scoreboard. Angel finds the follow-up, but Loves is here with the triple kill. That's going to neutralize things here, and even 2v2, but now it's an execute that needs to come through.
Lycos, he's trying to hold off the Ash's pressure from inside Tetris, and Maverick needs to rotate in because he's the one with defuse in his pocket. Ash! Loves just keeps on swinging, and why not stop as he'll collect an ace? Twice in one game, we've got aces. What is even going on so far? That fragging nature is here in every single way, and Phantom Rose.
Yeah. Wow. Just impressive stuff. I mean, whew, this one is tough to really get your head around. I mean, we're seeing, of course, just incredible play here. We're seeing such frag-heavy ability, and you've got to give it up to these teams, both Full Metal and Loves, both on Phantom Rose Gaming, who have both found aces so far. And we're just getting into this. We're on round number 8. I mean, wow. This is incredible stuff. The one thing that I hate to throw out there, but usually when an ace happens at this high level, it's not just because one player is just so much better than the rest. No, it's generally combined with a little bit of lack of coordination and individual play from Intense. I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record, Sticula, but I mean, this is the story that we have seen unfold in so many rounds. Every single defender was isolated on that bomb site or off that bomb site. Nobody was playing the refrags. And because of that, of course, the advantage was eventually cut down. A couple of good plays there from both Lycos and Kunai, Angel as well. But it just didn't all click when it came down to the execute. The attackers just pushed on in. And when the defenders, their back was turned, their focus was averted, and all of a sudden, there it goes. Phantom Rose Gaming has the kills, or I guess Loves has all of the kills in the round. So I guess I'm hoping this is the last time I say this. Intense just need to get a bit more coordinated. They need to just clean it up a bit and just get things a bit more in order.
Hopefully that's what we'll have boiled down in the future of this one, and props to Phantom Rose for the way that they played in that attack. They saw a big weakness in the way that Intense had it all set up, and they capitalized on it very quickly. I mean, the two players holding the vertical extension did little to nothing, as Angel, feeling pressured, starting to peel off just a little bit. ADS does a job, capturing one of the breaching rounds, but the second goes in, thus destroying the shield and allowing an easier entrance. NTNS have pretty much given this up so far. Storm is all by his lonesome, and now it is really given up as he'll bail off and over the balcony, and Full Metal pulls in unsupported by the rest of his teammate. That's a great opening frag, and, well, we've seen the openings really push forward the momentum so far, but Phantom Rose held the early momentum and the early opening kills in that previous round, but Intense through at midsection were still able to reliably fall back on their trades, and it almost looked like they were going to be able to make it happen and pushing backwards. Be careful of the clock, though. You have to make sure that you're properly timing this, and Intense, they got that opening kill. They have the slowdown. They've got all that purchase in their pocket to sit back on and wait with. But Danny, he'll find the equalization.
Yeah, the nice frag grenade kill there. Of course, that's going to be answered back from Angel, but the coordination and the team play from Phantom Rose is excelling at every turn. You saw the trade immediately come out from Loves. We're now crossing that 1 minute mark. It's about time to see where these attackers are looking to actually get an execute going from. Without Relajado, though, in play, just with 3 attackers looking to just have their guns up and push on into this site, there isn't a lot of choice but to just send it in these doorways. Now, these can quickly turn into what we call fatal funnels, with the defenders just staring at these very, one-by-one doors where the only chance the attackers have to push from. But if just 1 or 2 frags can go in the way of Phantom Rose Gaming here, they'll find themselves with a free bomb site ready to execute. No more C4s, no more toxic babes. It's gonna be all about this push, but Loves has his back turned. Storm does as well, or Storm is actually going to capitalize on that, and Danny is, again, all alone in a 1v3. 10 seconds are left. He goes with the pre-fire, but Storm is gonna line up the double with the 416. And Intense, they find the answer. Despite the coordination there from Phantom Rose Gaming, it was Intense who prevailed at the end of the day.
I was really worried that the Jaeger was about to be totally smoked and caught completely off guard, but you have to salute Intense in that cross coverage and the behavior. They managed to keep their teammate alive, and that let the round prosper therein. I think Loves made the right decision. He saw there was a smoke canister tossed, and so the defense, what are they all saying to each other? Gas canister is down. The offense, they're waiting. They're not pushing through. They're not running in. They're going to try and wait out the clock for that gas to dissipate. Loves had something else to say about that. He charged right on through, and maybe given a few extra milliseconds of surprise, he would have made it around the corner into study to get that last pick going. And Phantom Rose, honestly, I think they recovered that in the best way that they could. Not only defeating the immediate hill of the 4 versus 5, but also keeping it equal, fighting off the red pressure, 3 versus 3 once it came down to the execute. But something that somewhat flew under the radar and that you brought up was the early death of the hard breacher. That really caused a problem. They weren't able to get open gun vault, and as a result, you saw how comfortably the defense played inside.
Well, here's something interesting. We've got the castle in play again, but this time it's on the trophy and statuary bomb site, and this time it's Intense going for that defensive side here. So again, the castle is going to be utilized in a very similar way in terms of that time delay and the ability to stall out this attack from pushing in from this south side. But we're seeing a very unique castle barricade, the one on that long hall between top main and 90. That one is weird. I haven't seen that one before, and honestly, you're losing the ability to establish that long angle as a defender. But of course, you gain the ability to rotate around freely as long as the castle barricade has not been fully dealt with. Now, the big advantage that Intense has here is the ability to catch Phantom Rose Gaming off guard. When you walk into a setup that you haven't seen before, that you're completely unfamiliar with, it's hard to really get a grasp of how to actually go through it methodically. Even if you've seen it in a VOD, if you haven't actually played against it, there's always something different about getting that feel. Full Metal, he is going to be capitalizing on Storm, who is looking the other way, but Lyco swinging out from 90 there will play the trade and will do a good job of neutralizing that impact. He's going to fall away, back down, rotating away to the bomb site, and that will equalize things into a 4v4. Roberts is still isolated on this Aviator side and is yet to be forced out. However, he is caught between a rock and a hard place here. The attackers are going for the swing, but it doesn't seem to matter. Roberts collects one. Danny is there with a response, and then Loves will come through for Phantom Rose as well. All of this gunplay going down off the bomb site on this south side, but Phantom Rose seem to have come out on top.
A bomb has been located.
Man advantage in time to make this play happen, and Phantom Rose are careful not to spoil the 3 versus 2. As you can see, methodically, they will drone, clearing every single angle, but the drone economy is not doing the best. You've only got 2 active drones left, and whatever's already been determined on the flank coverage. Nitro, or rather Impact Grenade, tossed out. Danny has to be real careful. We already know how low HP he's on. The UMP, it's going for a tear. Kunai, he's on a massacre, rolling through what's left of Phantom Rose. And Kunai, he'll do it all. 3 attackers at once.
Wow. Just wow from Kunai, just making it happen. Holy, that was a complete turnaround. Phantom Rose Gaming, they had time to work with. They dealt with everyone on that study side extension, but then they all just died to the UMP, the castle. Kunai just swinging on out, sending Phantom Rose Gaming to their graves and sending Intense to the lead. Once again, now 5-4, the overall score line now with, it looks like, Kitchen and Dining coming up next. Intense looking to solidify this defense on this bottom floor, looking to just polish things up and really just take this one right now. If they could secure this round, they would be poised and eager to win this series right now. 6-4. It's going to be hard for PRG to really make a good comeback there, given that everything is on the line at that point. But of course, you've got Phantom Rose Gaming, who have looked really solid so far. The coordination has been, it seems, a bit more present than the coordination from Intense, but at some point, you're going to get into a gunfight. At some point, you've got to let that gun go burr. And with Intense just looking clean and winning their ones at these last few moments, I mean, you have to have an answer somehow.
5 seconds to go.
In the previous round, we saw the decision made by Phantom Rose to confront the entirety of the extension, to go for that long study push and really accept the reality of the truth of all that utility. Going into this next round, do you think, going for that same extension push and confronting the defensive strong point is the right decision to make?
Ooh, I really don't know. I mean, PRG have done a somewhat good job of doing that so far. It has had mixed results. I'll give you that. So I guess early on, it'll be good to see what they can get going. I think this first pick is going to be a good indicator of what we can expect. If Phantom Rose Gaming can capitalize and just get one of these picks onto these top floor defenders, I think they're going to roll through them and get this going pretty well. But if, a C4 from Kunai here just cuts them down, I think this could be seriously problematic. Roberts, he's going to make that happen. The player on this trophy side supporting Storm on this top floor extension, collecting one and dropping Danny, the sledge, down to a sliver of HP. The one player that is the most important for the vertical play is now on the edge of death.
Nitro leaping over, and it's another one shot out of the air. Would you believe it there from the Ash, and now Loves finds Storm as well, so they get the Zofia out of commission early. The Nitro Cell Bonanza, there it begins, and Roberts, Danny, he's on such little HP, and, well, 416, it certainly hits hard. The Jaeger feeling quite pressured. A long angle utilized here by K2, but safe coverage and concealment inside of Trophy. So far successful. Frag grenade sent in as the Vulcan will detonate, doing a big amount of damage. That's Roberts going down now. And Phantom Rose have battled their way into a 2 versus 2. Lycos isolated at the bottom of the basement stairs there. He's forced to bail off and try to come up from pantry to support his teammate. Here we go, though. Phantom Rose wasting no time. They know that he has to rotate. Relajado a little bit too quick on it. And Kunai again! He's a god with the UMP, making it happen. Everyone falls. Intense match point.
Wow. I mean, Kunai is just on another level right now. Giving Intense the round, and now eyes are on match point. If they can take this one here, it would be, of course, all over for Phantom Rose Gaming. And although I may have predicted PRG to be, coming out of this one strong, it just seems that Kunai and the gun skill coming out from Intense right now is just overwhelming the coordination and the methodical nature of Phantom Rose attacks. They have approached these attacks with, it seems, a lot more control and a lot more discipline than what we saw. Oh my, okay. As I say that, they're going to throw everything out the window. But until the Lion Pick came out, it did seem that they approached these with a lot more discipline, a lot more control, going about this more methodically than we saw from Intense on that first half. So right now, I suppose, bringing out the Lion, this could be more of a rush, more of an aggressive play coming out from PRG. Maybe this is what they deem to be the, option they have at this point. I'm surprised they're going this far, given that the one round they did find on attack was because of just good play, good coordination, and a strong clear. Right now, with this aggression, of course, the one thing you do have going for you is the element of surprise, but the danger, given how powerful Kunai and the rest of Intense have been with this gunplay in the last few rounds, they would be walking in to a hailstorm of bullets, and a hailstorm that has been pinpoint accurate with getting those headshots in the last few rounds.
So far from these early positions, looks like you will have that 90 repel come into play as well. I'm not sure, maybe Full Metal's waiting off a little bit in trying to support Loves to stay clear below. Like Sophia's drone was inside of the library area as Danny, K2, and Relajado, well, they're over here on the study veranda. Drones move on through, and, well, we already have one conclusion, and that's Phantom Rose will elect to ignore the statue side extension, instead electing for a more direct take. You've got to be careful with the use of the hard breach here. If Relajado gets that open, the defense are going to be in a real struggle, but they have an opening already made, predetermined in the soft wall, so they have this understanding that the wall will be open. Love's coming in huge for Phantom Rose. He eliminates Roberts, who's been that one consistent factor. The player lurking on the edge of the bomb site, holding the cross angles, and making it happen for those huge impact kills that sometimes save rounds. Minute and 45. The clock will be a huge factor here because Phantom Rose already have so much of an advantage. EE1D will trigger. Vulcan shield at the end of the hallway there will detonate, and Lycos SMG-11 right onto Danny. The trade is in. Will that be enough to keep them fighting?
I guess we'll have to see. Storm wants to keep fighting. He's just gonna keep swinging on this classical hall, looking down towards main stairs, but here comes Relajado. He's gonna actually get removed. The Vector from Kunai doing its good work. Full Metal will respond, cutting down Lycos and removing that man advantage. Here comes the swing, but a couple of missed shots there from K2. Give Angel the win in that gunfight. Loves with the response returns this to a 2v2. Now under the 60-second mark, here comes Full Metal. He lines up one. That leaves Storm alone. Here comes the execute. They're in the bomb site with full control. Loves is at 1 HP while the defuse is going down. Storm knows he has to get aggressive. He's going to push on through. He looks for the planter, but he isn't quite sure where it's going to go down. He's going to go for the swing, but Loves is there to capitalize. Phantom Rose Gaming, they will hold on in this one, taking this round and getting that 5th round, their second attacking round, to keep them in this fight.
Round 12, all the way through regulation here. If it's overtime, Phantom Rose would have to propel themselves there. Otherwise, a 7-5 victory could be the conclusion for Intense. Trophy and statue again, with the castle extension, or perhaps not, as Kunai will bail off. And looking at the site rotation, dining room is not open. So my first conclusion was to believe that this is them playing, Mozzie, Jaeger, the Pulse to try and maybe trick Phantom Rose into thinking the other site was going to come in, but no, not exactly going to be the case. So look at Kunai, maybe had some second thoughts in the final seconds. Not enough time to swap on over, and so he will be forced to stay on the castle. But Kunai knows how to play with that UMP, and I mean, every time he picks it up, it seems like he's got a 416 or a K1A. I mean, he's getting all of these multi-kills, and when there's low time and Phantom Rose are trying to brute force their way onto the objective, that calm, cool, collected nature and the experience of Kunai that's allowing him to win those fights and to take his team up further and further. Intense have played pretty well so far. I feel like they have a strong grasp of how to play on Villa, their attacks. The decision-making was definitely there, maybe not so much in the coordination, and they kind of fell into the kind of individual plays here and there. For the longest time that I've known Intense, though, they've been a very LATAM-style team. Sometimes individual plays and the fragging nature has to be that driving point and that driving force behind the ultra-aggressiveness.
Well, it's all come down to this, Sticula. I mean, it's match point again, but with only one more round that Phantom Rose needs to send this one to overtime, both of these teams are definitely probably going to get desperate soon. Of course, again, we've reiterated this earlier, but I will one more time. We are in infinite overtime here at UPL. So if this is evened out, we don't just have a cap at 15 rounds. This could go, theoretically, could go all night long. You need that 2-round win by 2 advantage to take this one. But Intense, they're looking to shut this one down here. They don't want to risk going to overtime and getting things more dicey down the line when things can get even more, well, I guess I'll say intense, and even more crazy when it gets further into overtime. Of course, at that point, the fatigue can set in. It'll get really crazy, but I suppose it'll have to come down to this one first. You've got Kunai. He's rocking the UMP that you highlighted, Sticula. He's ready to make that gun shine. Considered the worst gun in the game by some, but for Kunai, seems to be his weapon of choice. Once again, you've got Storm playing in the 90 Hall, contesting on that main push. And again, we are seeing a very direct and forward-facing attack from Phantom Rose Gaming here. They're forcing straight on in through Study, in through Classical. They're not going to bother to go for that methodical clear.
Time after time, Storm trying to creep around that corner. The hard breach now. The wall into the back bar is open. They'll have to be careful, though, with that soft wall. Crouching in through the Selma holes is not going to be the easiest job in the world, especially with multiple long angles being employed. K2, he tries to use that G8, but Roberts is putting forth the effort to push his team forward, holding close at the study door. A 3 versus 5, a desperate scenario for Phantom Rose as they try to get this one. They still have full metal and loves. We know what they can do so far. The two players who have managed to secure aces for their team. This would be the round to get another ace on if you have to be that one player to propel your team's success forward. But the map control that Phantom Rose have is pretty lackluster. Only the hard breach is open, and that's not going to get you much done. Full metal onto Storm, though, and the prone smoke is eliminated too, so now the man advantage equalized and Kunai forced to rotate. But here's an Angel from back in the hallway. Kunai, the rotate works for him, and Angel for another one. Intense in round number 12. No infinite overtime, a regulation victory.
Wrapping things up here, Intense. They will close it out and make it happen. A series that came down to the wire, a best of one that came down to the wire, no doubt. But these teams were indeed as close as we foretold, but Intense pulling it out, going to 3-1, and dropping Phantom Rose Gaming to 2-2 now, going forth in the standings. Again, that was a really inconsistent series, I'd say, for both teams. They were consistently inconsistent in that regard. We saw Intense. They had some really strong coordination at times. They had some really isolated play at others, but when they really found their groove on that defensive half was their ability to just let certain players, Kunai specifically, to just sit in these power positions and to, apparently with their fragging gun of choice, the UMP, just fragging on out. So a great job from Intense playing to their players' strengths, utilizing their utility and their brains pretty well on that last half. And Phantom Rose, they had some answer, but they couldn't quite get that final attacking round to make it go even on both halves and to take us to overtime.
And I mean, just Kunai playing on that support, playing on that loose flex role, you would have figured if you didn't have a better idea that he was bringing the Alda. I mean, he was letting the Choppa sing time after time, and just it was a slaughter in a lot of those rounds. The way that Intense played on their offense, they had a few really bright points that I was really excited about. The way that they would sometimes say, you know, we're not playing the utility meta, you know, to hell with the full clear. We're just going right on in to jump into the objective itself and to say, you know, we're going to stay in control and we're going to decide exactly how this will play. If they could coordinate just a tiny bit better and know when it's time to make those individual plays and to move in by yourself, and to know when you have to have a buddy there with you to support that push.
Well, I do believe that is going to do things for us here, at least for this series. We are going to close things out. Sticula and I, at least, will close things out. We've got a rebroadcast coming up for you right now. It's going to be Fractured Memories versus Lucent. You're going to see that Rainbow Six Siege match unfold. And then at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, you can come back for some League of Legends action. I believe that's Penguin Brigade taking on St. Clair Saints. I'm not familiar with that scene, but I'm sure that it'll be thrilling to watch, so tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern. But for myself, Jays Wills, for Sticula joining me tonight, for Hyper in the booth, for Frost observing, I want to thank you all for tuning in and hope you have a fantastic rest of your night.